Chicken on a stick.
Hi, I'm Patrick,
I'm Maggie.
and we are Chicken on a Stick. Welcome to another episode of Chicken on a Stick.
Welcome, welcome.
Today, we're doing something a little bit different from what we've done in the previous episodes, because it was Maggie's choice this week.
Yeah.
She picked a new release, a movie called Influencer, which is a Shudder original that just went live streaming this year, 2023. And she had watched it before and wanted me to watch it, and then just decided to make it a movie that we talked about here.
Exactly. I very much so wanted to hear your thoughts, even though I feel like I know what a good portion of them will be.
Well, we will get into all of that in a moment then.
Change of plans. I made a new friend. Looks like I'll be staying here for a while longer. We're going to explore the country.
I just realized I haven't been in front of a fire in like a decade. You probably brought me all this way to kill me in the middle of the ocean. No one can hear you scream.
Okay, so Influencer. Available on Shudder, which if you don't know what Shudder is, basically it's just a streaming service for horror movies. And they do what they call their originals.
Right.
And this happened to be one. So this movie premiered at some film festivals in 2022. Shudder picked it up and then released it in May 2023 on their streaming service.
Yes. I love Shudder. Shudder is my favorite streaming service. Just nothing but scary movies and thrillers. It's fantastic.
Yeah. It has some good stuff on there, but it's got a lot of lesser known movies, I'd say, probably.
B
horror for sure.
horror movies and things from the 70s and 60s. It's a good time.
So this movie, I did know about this movie, and it was on my list to watch it for this year anyway. I had seen somebody else on Instagram like review it whenever it came out, and I was like, oh, okay, well, we'll probably watch it at some point. And we watched it.
Yes, we did.
So we will just maybe to go over some things with the movie quickly, because it's brand new. There's not really a lot I can say about behind the scenes stuff or anything, because there's not much to really go off of.
Not yet, anyway.
But Influencer, directed by Curtis David Harder, co-written by him and Tesh Gutikonda? Totally butchered that guy's name. I don't
Couldn't
know.
tell you.
Starring Emily Tennant, Cassandra Naud,
I think that's what it is.
Sarah Canning, Rory J. Spatter. Bunch of people you've probably not heard of before. Right. Although the one Emily Tennant sounds kind of familiar.
And she looks a little familiar. I couldn't pinpoint.
Yeah, she's been in a number of things that we've definitely seen. But the other people, no idea.
Yeah, couldn't tell you.
So the movie does a thing that, well, actually, it doesn't really do anything that I don't necessarily like in the start. I thought we were getting one of those things where it was like, how did I end up here?
But
and
you're
then
wondering how I got here.
And then time rewinds, which I absolutely hate.
Don't like that.
I don't like that trope in movies. I think it's overplayed.
You do see it a lot.
So the movie starts, and we're seeing like water, and the camera kind of rises to like this island, and on the island shore is a body. Oh no!
A body that's face down, and it's just an aerial view, and you see that the island is very obviously remote. So
yes.
You're like, ooh, what's happening here?
We then start to hear like a voiceover of who we will later come to know as Madison.
Right.
And she's doing like just a voiceover about traveling is so great.
Yeah.
Traveling is all about trying new things. I'm here in Thailand, and it's beautiful. I love it. Because she's posting on, like, Instagram
Yeah.
because she's an influencer. Hence the name of the movie.
Influencer. Well, it was probably more so at the time because they're all kind of grown up now. But at the time that I was working on a cruise ship, every single person that worked there was posting these same things to Facebook and Instagram. Hi, it's Amanda checking in from the Cabbage Beach at Nassau, Bahamas. Just want to let you know that every day is beautiful and enjoy the sunrise. And okay, ciao, toodaloo, catch you next time.
Since nobody can see this,
Okay.
everybody does need to know that she was just holding her arms out like she was holding a camera
Yeah.
facing towards herself,
Yeah.
and even made some peace signs while
Yeah.
doing that.
Peace sign, selfie. I saw a dolphin today. Cherish the little moments in life.
Yeah.
By the way, I totally did that shit too.
Yeah, of course he did.
Yeah. I did a post once where it was like, there's nothing more relaxing than getting into bed at night and realizing you still have sand between your toes.
Wow.
So stupid.
Very.
So anyway, typical influencer type.
Yeah.
Romanticizing the littlest of things.
So, just an attractive blonde girl alone in Thailand. This movie does a terrible job of naming half of its characters.
Yeah.
We don't know her name for like an hour into this movie.
I didn't even notice that until you pointed it out.
We were watching it and we were maybe like 30 minutes into the movie and I was like, do we even know these characters' names?
I was like,
we don't.
I guess not. No.
So to me that was just a weird thing to happen. So anyway, Madison, who I'm just gonna call her Madison so we can differentiate instead of me just being like that girl and that girl and that girl.
Brunette and blondie.
Yeah, so Madison's all alone in Thailand. She's posting on social media that she's having like a great time. This is awesome and amazing, but she's not really doing anything other than sitting at a hotel taking photos of like water and food and whatever. So it's like the played out thing of like you post really positive things, but you're actually really alone and unhappy.
Yeah, we're getting these images of her, taking a selfie or taking a picture with her food, and she's like got a big smile and she's trying to look energetic, and then as soon as she gets the shot that she wants, her face completely drops and she's like melancholy and sad now.
Yeah. We see her that night talking on FaceTime to a friend of hers who I don't think is he named? He is. His name's Jay, I think. And basically, they're just chatting back and forth. She reveals that her boyfriend was supposed to be there. He's the one who got her the trip, but he canceled last minute. She's also got this, like, new makeup that hasn't even come out yet, and her boyfriend also got her that because he kind of pushed her into doing influencer stuff.
Yeah, it's like a PR package, like a PR stunt to take a picture with it and promote it.
We do learn her boyfriend's name is Ryan. I think that's the first character we get named in the movie, and his name's probably said more than anybody in the movie.
Yeah, for sure. And he also, not that we're getting a long conversation between them, but he is giving off a douchebag air about himself.
You are way ahead of this movie. That
Am
is
I?
not the point that we're at.
Oh.
She's talking to her friend.
Yeah.
She tells her friend that she might not be with him much longer, that maybe they're going to break up. And then she stops the conversation, and then she goes to a bar.
I did jump.
She goes to a hotel bar, all alone, like any white traveling lady in foreign countries does, and she starts to get hit on by this old man.
Mm-hmm.
I put that in air quotes because the actor is most definitely not very old.
No.
It just kind of has some old looking makeup on that's not even all that good looking. Yeah. And he just starts to chat up with her. She's taking like a photo of herself. He offers to take the photo for her because he's an old man and out of touch. Haha.
Defeats the purpose of the selfie.
Yeah. He's basically just kind of annoying her. He's like, oh, I'm an old British man who's rich and I come here all the time and blah, blah, blah. We could hang out and whatever. And this brown brunette in the corner sees this, comes over to the bar and basically saves her and says, hey, let's go for a walk.
Yeah. She's calling the guy out, like, stop, don't be hitting on young girls at the bar. And he's like, well, we're all friends here. We can all have a chat and drinks. And it's definitely one of those moments where the two girls kind of, like, were on the same page. Like, okay, let's get away from this creepy guy.
Yeah. So they kind of hang out a little bit. This is where we do find out that Ryan was supposed to be there and he canceled at the last minute because he had some like photo shoot to go do. So he's like a photographer of some sorts. And then the new girl, who this part really just, she's never named in this movie. No. The closest thing we get to a name is CW. So I will refer to her as CW or as Birthmark Lady because her distinctive feature is she's got this really big birthmark under her right eye. Yeah. That doesn't really play much into the story at all, except it does a little bit later on, but it's not something where like nobody's really pointing it out or saying anything or whatever. Yeah. But again, the character doesn't really get named. If you look up her acting credit, it's listed as CW. I think CW is said once throughout the entire movie. And it may not even be said. It might even be like wrote down somewhere. I don't even quite remember. But it boggles my mind again that these characters don't get named for like, in one case, an entire movie basically. And in another case for the like 40 minutes. So Birthmark invites Madison to go out the next day. She's like, hey, I live here. I know this place. I should show you a fun time and a lot of cool stuff other than this hotel. So they go out the next day. We kind of get a little montage of them going out and doing things, like on the water, seeing fish, dolphins, I don't know, whatever they got in Thailand.
Just all kinds of really touristy things, looking at little boutiques. And they're just kind of tooling around on the back of CW's. Was it a motorcycle or a Vespa? I think it was a Vespa.
Definitely a Vespa.
Vespa, yeah.
They go onto a mountaintop. They take like the standard I'm on a mountain basic photo that you see everybody take. Pretty standard sort of stuff. They do meet some elephants. I made a note saying that's nice.
They were really cute.
In my head, I said it in the way that Dead Meat says it anytime when they're doing a kill count, and he's like, that's nice. Like, oh, that's nice. That's nice. So in my head it was, they met some elephants. That's nice.
It's also a good thing to note that they did show that it wasn't like a tourist attraction where like you pay a bunch of money. Well, I mean, I'm sure they paid, but it wasn't like one of those like seedy ones where the elephants are being mistreated and it's all for like...
I don't know, there was like 4 elephants shoved into like a cage looking thing.
But it made a point to show that it was a rehabilitation place. They looked happy.
I guess. I don't know how you tell if an elephant looks happy or not. So they're still just kind of hanging out, whatever. The CW sees two guys walking on the street. Madison and her go and meet these guys. They hang out for the night. They go out to like a bar, dancing, whatever, getting drinks, all that sort of stuff.
And they went out because CW was kind of, the more that she probes about Madison's boyfriend, the more she's like getting the feeling that she's bummed out and she needs some cheering up. So yeah, her seeing some guys and being like, you know what, I think she needs a night out with some dudes.
Right. They eventually end up just going back to their hotels. Madison drops off CW. She goes back to her hotel room. As she's going back, she's like fumbling, looking for her keys. Oh no, the door's open. Mm-hmm. Somebody's been here. She goes inside. There's stuff thrown all over the place. And she does find that her passport has been stolen.
Yeah.
Nothing else, just passport. or if there was other stuff, it wasn't important because the main thing was the passport.
Yeah, that was the only thing that she cared about.
She FaceTimes her boyfriend at this point. This is the part you were talking about where you're way ahead of everything.
My bad.
And she tells Ryan that she's not going to be able to come home tomorrow because she lost her passport, that they think it might take a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of basically says that's such a Madison thing to do.
Yeah.
You went there. It was supposed to be for a week. Now you're there for 2 weeks. Now all of a sudden you're wanting to stay for even longer. So he's kind of acting as if she's lying and she's just doing it because she wants to stay versus getting back home to do some sort of photo shoot thing that he has to do or that she's supposed to be a part of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he doesn't come off in a great light.
Yeah. And then she brings up breaking up with him, and he says, look, you're not thinking right, just call me back in the morning, and they end their conversation. Next morning, she's still acting like things are fine on social media, just like, I'm going to stay for a little bit longer because I love this place.
It's her decision. I'm just going to go ahead and stay a little bit longer. Enjoy the sights.
And while she's doing that, they do fill out like I guess a thing with the police of like, or they find out that she's got to go to like an embassy and fill out this paperwork and all that stuff to get a like an emergency passport or whatever the situation's supposed to be. Birthmark hands her a piece of paper that's like, fill out all this information, and she's like, why do I have to do this? I didn't have to do this before or whatever. And while they're waiting on all that, they go to do some more sightseeing stuff. Yeah. And CW tells Madison, like, hey, just come, you can come stay with me. You don't have to stay at the hotel. Turns out she's got this, like, nice house that she lives at, apparently.
It's a mansion. It's huge.
And while they're in the house, Madison does see on, like, this little end table type thing that there's a book. And she picks up the book, and she kind of flips through it, and on the front is a name, and the name is Becky Wilson. Mm-hmm. At this point, because we don't know any of the characters' names, I wrote down, is that her name?
Is that Becky?
I don't think... It's like, I don't think so. But, like, you're supposed to be sort of suspicious of that. Mm-hmm. But we've not been told these characters' names. Right. So I guess Madison could look at it like quizzically of like, oh, is that her name? Yeah. I never really asked what her name is.
Right.
Maybe her name is Becky. Weird. But the insinuation is like she knows that that's not her name. Mm-hmm. But as a viewer, we don't fucking know that because we haven't been told these characters' names. Yeah. So it's very confusing.
Yeah, for sure.
So CW basically tells her, like, hey, I want to show you this cool spot. Come with me. Turns out she also owns, like, this little motorboat. They get into this motorboat. They drive off. They're literally just driving, like, out into the middle of the ocean for, like, a long time. And they go to this island. It's just this tiny little island. There's no people on it. It's not inhabited or anything. It's just a small little island. It's clear that she must go there relatively often because there's like a little fire pit made with some logs that have clearly been used before, and there's like a dead wood kind of thrown on the ground as sort of like a little bench that you can sit on. And they're there all night. I don't know, I guess they brought some wine and food with them or whatever, but they're all night just having a good time. Madison tells this like sort of horror story thing, you know, like you do around a campfire. And then CW tells her, what's going to happen is I'm going to leave you here after you fall asleep. And you're going to wake up and you're not going to have any way off of here. You're not going to have, nobody's going to find you. I'll give you a couple days before you die, and that's what's going to happen.
And that was following the funny haha joke from Madison, like, oh, there's no cell phone service out here, and what if you brought me out here to kill me? And it's, it's funny haha. And then CW.
Oh yeah. She says, "You're gonna kill me," and she goes, "No, I won't kill you. I am gonna leave you here, though."
I wouldn't kill you, but I would leave you. And then she goes off into her monologue. She's staring off into space while she's talking. And we're painting back and forth between that and Madison's face, which is, I would describe entertained.
Stupid is what it's called.
She's just like, okay, and then what? And what next? And then they end that little monologue just laughing and,
drinking.
Back to a night of drinking wine. And the whole thing that CW was conveying, or at least what I think Madison viewed as what she was trying to get across, was, I brought you out here because you're so sucked into social media and your phone. I brought you out here to force you to be present, and
right,
no one can reach you. So I think she thought that is like, oh yeah, I get it, this is fun, and oh no, this is a bad idea.
So it's early the next morning. CW gets up, and to the shock of no one, she does in fact leave Madison on the island. She takes her phone, takes her wallet, all that stuff, and leaves her on the island. The most baffling part about this is we're like 26 minutes, 30 minutes into the movie, and all of a sudden there are credits going, as if like the past 30 minutes was just a cold open to this movie. Yes. This movie is only like an hour and 35 minutes, and you spent a quarter of your runtime
just a cold open.
Just to do like a cold open to be like, haha, she's the bad guy, as if that wasn't like clear as day what was going to happen.
Another good thing to note too in the scene when they're walking up to their when Madison is looking at the campsite, realizes that it's been used before, on that what did you call it, that wood that was the bench?
Yeah, a tree, just a log.
Yeah, whatever that log was. They do make a note that
there was tally marks on it.
Yeah, Madison,
I forgot about that.
It kind of pans in a little bit on Madison's face, and she's looking on that wood bench, and she sees a couple strikes in it, like a couple notches, and then she's like, anyway.
Yeah, look, I mentioned this before when we talked about Midsommar. I do enjoy horror movies, and I know I have a bias towards slasher films and whatever, and generally, a lot of the times characters in horror movies are just stupid. That's part of like being in a horror movie.
Yeah.
But to me, there's a level of like believability in the dumbness, and then there's just flat out like they're not human levels of stupid.
Right.
And everything that Madison has done up to this point is not human levels of stupid. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's possible people are quite literally that dumb, and of course it's definitely happened where you just, like, some random person you met, you trust them, you get drunk around them, you do all this crazy shit, and then they murder you. But, like, there are so many random red flags, and she straight up told you, I'm going to leave you here, and yet somehow you still let it happen. Also, she must be a heavy-ass sleeper to not hear
a motor.
A person getting up and, like, rifling through your shit and all this other stuff. I don't know.
And taking off in a boat.
Anyway, 30 minutes into the movie, credits are popping up on the screen. So confusing. And then we cut to 3 weeks later.
3 weeks later. Just like in the beginning, we start to hear a voice talking the same way that we heard before.
Yeah, we get another, like, oh, this place is so great, I'm so glad I stayed here, blah, 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 whatever, of Madison. And we find out, I wrote in my notes, I called her Random Girl, because we still didn't know her name at this point. Girl. CW is pretending to be Madison on her social media.
Yeah.
So she took her phone, took all of her other stuff, hacked into it somehow, I guess, and is pretending to be her online. She's got her credit cards, all that stuff, so she's taking her money and whatever. So her schemes are find influencer people who are in her area, find local hot singles in your area, take them out, leave them on an island, steal their identity for some money, and then repeat.
That's it.
Seems like a terrible plan to me. So she's pretending to be her. She wears, like, some of her clothes. She puts on, like, a hat and stuff. And then your question comes up, like, wait, but she's a brunette and Madison was blonde. She has a wig.
She's got a wig.
And then you go, wait, but she has this massive birthmark on her face.
Really hard to miss.
And you go, yeah, good point. Except, apparently, she... in order to make these disguises work, she does two things. She takes all of her photos and she photoshops them with Madison's face. And then you go, okay, well, what about videos? She got that covered too. Yeah. She deep fakes herself to look like Madison.
Right.
If you don't know what that is, basically it's just where you take a bunch of photos of a person and through some program you make it take that person's face and put it on top of somebody else's face.
Right.
And it kind of like moves the lips and eyes to match when they blink and talk and whatever. They're not incredibly convinced, like, they're convincing enough, but they're not amazingly convincing. If you really pay attention, you can tell when it's not real. But she also AI generates Madison's voice too, which... with, like, celebrities and stuff, it kind of makes sense because you have this huge pool of, like, movies and interviews and stuff where you could get, like, how they said different words and whatever. I don't know if you'd be that varied with a social media influencer. I mean, depending on your following, I guess, or how long you've been around or whatever. But that's what she does. She CGI and deepfake and AI voices Madison's Instagram to make it seem like she's still around and doing things.
Yeah. So she talks to the bank. She gets she convinces them to give her
increase their credit limit.
Yeah, increase on her credit limit. You know, she's leaving messages for her friend that she FaceTimed before, and it's no one's any the wiser.
It is an incredibly elaborate scheme that is insane that it's happened more than once. We do see at one point she does go into like a black room.
Yeah.
And she has a photo of Madison and she pins it up onto like a cork board and there's 4 other pictures of women on there. Yeah. So she's done this 5 times before apparently. Assumedly Brittany, whatever the person who owned the book, was one of them apparently. I don't know. Do you write your name in your books? Like just in case they get lost so somebody can return them to you?
I think I did when I was a kid.
I just don't know. Like, do people do that? Is that a thing?
Maybe if you're traveling, you would. Maybe? I don't know.
I guess. I don't... Like, why? If I lost it, I don't expect anybody to be able to find me.
Just buy it and get another one.
Exactly. It's so weird.
Unless it's passed down through your family.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. So again, that just goes back to the book thing, making, like, now it sort of makes sense where it didn't make sense earlier, and it still doesn't make a lot of sense because who the fuck writes their name in a book?
Yeah.
Like, that's not, like, the author or something. Like, who would just...
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that could be what it was. Maybe this is, like, really giving this movie credit is, like... obviously, it wasn't a signature. It was just, like, normal print. Yeah. Somebody wrote their name. But there's an off chance maybe she was the author of the book. And she wrote her name in it as, like, oh, I love your work. Here, sign this book for me. And instead of signing it, she wrote in print. That's giving the movie way too much credit because that's not what they were going for, yeah. But still.
They could have done something a little... Maybe she could have seen, like, a luggage tag under the couch or something. They could have done something a little less obvious.
So, random girl, CW, birthmark, whatever you want to call her, decides, I've been spending 3 weeks as Madison. It's time to find my next victim. The way that she decides on victims is also so incredibly dumb. She just quite literally goes on Instagram and types in Thailand. No, I'm sorry. This time she typed in Bangkok.
Yeah.
And she's just scrolling. Look, I don't think I've ever once used the search function in Instagram. So I assume it just works like the search function for most things. That you do it, and it's going to pull up anybody who's like hashtag Bangkok or something. Bangkok's a huge city. Mm-hmm. It's a huge place. I would assume that maybe a bunch of people use Instagram there. Maybe not. But it just seems like such a horrible way to search for a victim. But it works. She finds some new girl who seems to be alone in Bangkok. She's like taking photos of herself, doing things, whatever. So she then rides her Vespa into Bangkok to try and find this lady.
Stalking her.
Also seems like an incredibly tall order unless she specifically posts something being like, I'm at this club.
Right.
Or I'm at this bar. Like, how would you find this person exactly? Just from a hashtag? Like, you'd have to go to the city and just
look around.
Hope to find them, I would assume.
That was pretty funny.
But she does start to stalk this new girl. She is at like a bar watching her from a distance. She goes outside, starts walking down the street. She starts to follow her. They also get into like those little tuk-tuks or whatever they're called, the little tri-cart things that are like taxis there. And it's one of those situations where it's like there's two of them on the road and one of them's following the other one and nobody seems to notice these bright-ass, super like rainbow-colored carts following each other.
Completely decked out.
Just completely oblivious. She starts walking down the street. She goes down this alley where there's literally no one else. She's still following her. Not once does this girl turn around at any point.
Good to note, too, that CW is wearing a shoe with a heel on it, so we are hearing the click-clacks of her feet.
Eventually, the new girl goes into, like, this little shop full of just random knickknacks, and she's going to, like, pick up some random item. And CW's like, okay, this is my chance to strike. She gets in there and goes, that's a fake. And the new girl just kind of looks at her like, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, can I help
and she goes, that's a fake. And she goes, oh, I know. I'm just getting it for my sister and don't really give a shit.
Yeah.
So thanks. So she just sort of like brushes it off completely. Like, all right, fuck off, whatever. And they go their separate ways. Except CW's followed her to her hotel, also has a room in the same hotel, or nearby enough at least, and decides she's got to come up with a new strategy. She goes to her Instagram. We learn that this new girl's name is Jessica through the Instagram, and she finds out that she shills joining some sort of like women empowerment team group thing.
It's 1,000,000% an MLM.
It's not really clear exactly what the hell it is. It's just she's got multiple posts of like, join our team, join our team, join our team. So the next day,
it's important to note too that this woman is clearly older. She's definitely older than Madison was.
Oh yeah, she's definitely a little bit older.
She's definitely older, and I think that CW is maybe so used to a younger target that where things just kind of work out for her. Like being turned down right off the bat, she wasn't expecting it. So now it's one of those situations where...
Well, no, she's run into like a competent person who's
right,
like, okay,
exactly.
Cool, whatever. I don't care that it's cheap.
Yeah, so she's like, okay, so now we got a challenge.
Like, that's exactly what I would... If somebody came up to me, if I was looking at random things in some country, and some random-ass person goes, that's fake, I'd be like, okay, cool. Like, I'm not going to strike up a conversation with you and then go to, like, a bar or something with you. I don't care.
Yeah, absolutely not.
So the second approach happens at a bar. They're both, like, sitting there. CW kind of introduces herself again. Again, no names are said. But she just goes, oh, I ran into you the other day. I guess we're staying at the same hotel. It's so embarrassing. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to, like, intrude on you the other night at the thing or whatever. And Jessica's just giving her this face like, okay, get to the point. I don't give a shit. And then she goes, I just wanted you, like, I'm just a really big fan, so I just wanted to try and, like, impress you or something. I follow you on Instagram.
Yeah.
And Jessica, again, is just like, I don't care. And she tells a sob story of, I was supposed to be here with my boyfriend, but he canceled, stealing that from Madison.
Yeah, that totally
And
using Madison's story.
The best part is Jessica still doesn't care and just kind of brushes her away again, but then goes, did you say you follow me?
Yeah.
That's got to be, like, the dumbest part, is she doesn't care. She's not falling for the sob story or anything, but the moment she's like, but you follow me?
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, you've, like, hook, line, and sinker. You can reel her in now. You caught her. Really dumb. Look, I've never had just some random person ever be like, I follow you. So I don't know what that's like, but I feel like a lot of celebrities, anytime you've seen interviews
Thanks.
or stuff, are just like,
Cool. Thank
like,
you.
okay, cool.
Appreciate
See ya.
it.
Like, I'm not going to go out to a bar with
Yeah,
you.
we're not best friends now. That and it's interesting too when we get this interaction with CW in her turning, like, changing her gears a little bit. We're getting, like, a much peppier
Oh, yeah.
version of her. Whereas before she was a little bit mysterious. She had a mysterious air about her.
She tries a whole new angle.
Now she's a whole new angle. She is bubbly, she is bright, she's wide-eyed, and her, like, she's carrying her voice in a little bit of a higher pitch.
Yeah.
So she's definitely trying to come up as the kind of girl that would follow her on Instagram.
Yeah. And through all of this, at some point, they're just kind of hanging out, talking, whatever. She steals Jessica's hotel key.
Mm-hmm.
And while they're out that night, at some point, Jessica just goes, oh, shoot, I gotta go. This was great, but I have a thing. I gotta go meet some people. So whatever, maybe we can catch up later.
Mm-hmm.
Nice to see you. Peace. So Jessica goes off to do whatever she's doing, some sort of marketing thing, some meeting or whatever she's got to do. It's not really ever explained. She's just something to get her away.
Yeah.
While she's away, CW takes the hotel room key and goes up to Jessica's room. The assumption here is to do what she did to Madison, which would be steal a passport, whatever she can, ransack the sort of place.
Make it look like someone broke in.
Jessica comes back to the hotel. We see CW's outside having a smoke. And she sees Jessica go inside, and then she holds her phone out going, I'm waiting for her to contact me because I know that she will.
Yep.
And she gets a phone call from her. Again, the assumption here is the same thing that happened with Madison. She's like, oh my god, I can't believe that. I'll help you. I live nearby. We can go to my place. So, Jessica, for whatever reason, after calling calling CW, does take her up on her offer, and they ride off to CW's house, which is like a brand new place. It's even bigger.
Even more
At least I think
extravagant.
it's new.
Yeah.
It definitely looks different.
Yeah, no, it looked different. It's again a huge, gigantic mansion that you would not assume one tiny little young girl would be living in by herself.
So they get to her house, and as they're like going up the front steps, the door is open.
Yep.
And there's like rose petals on the ground.
Candles.
And like it looks all nice and stuff, and it's like, what the fuck's going on? So they like, Jessica doesn't think anything different, but CW kind of cautiously is like, what the fuck's going on?
She's got this look on her face.
They get in there, they come down this staircase into what I'll just call like the dining room, maybe living room. I'll just say dining room because it's got like a table and they eat in there multiple times. And there's food on the table and candles and like this sort of romantic setting.
Wine.
And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere pops Ryan.
Yeah.
Madison's boyfriend jumps out and he's like, surprise! And then he's like, who the fuck are you?
Who are you guys?
And CW's like, who are you? And he's like, I'm here for Madison. This is where she's staying. Who are you? And she's like, oh, I'm Madison's roommate. And Jessica's like, you told me this was your house.
Yeah.
So Jessica's already kind of like, the wheels are spinning of like, something here is off.
Something's fucky.
Jessica just goes, okay, I'm just going to go find a room to put my shit in, and leaves. And Ryan's like, Madison hasn't like ever mentioned you. I haven't heard from her in a while, but this house is in her name and I'm paying for it.
I'm the one that's
so do you know where she's at? And she's like, oh, I don't know. She said she'd be back in a few days. I don't know where she went. Again, situations where any reasonable person might be like, that seems a little off.
She also does say to him while they're alone, she's like, Madison said you guys were broken up. You guys aren't together anymore. And he was like, no, that's not true. We were just having a spat. And yeah, it's so funny reading her face there, because you can tell she's doing mental gymnastics trying to figure out like what's going to happen.
And the craziest thing to me is just like, he quite literally goes, the house is under her name, but I'm paying for it. And then he just drops it. He's just like, all right, cool, whatever. While he's doing that, CW, she does get on her laptop at one point, and through the AI program, voice modulator, whatever thing, calls Ryan. He goes outside because he sees that it's Madison. She's got like little earbuds in. It's the next morning at this point.
Right.
And she's just typing away, being like, Ryan, it's over. Fucking leave. And he's like, where are you?
Yeah.
Like, why aren't you here? Who the fuck is this person?
Yeah.
Like, what is going on? And she's like, I don't care. It's over. Just leave. And then she, like, hangs up on him, I guess. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, I don't know. How He basically I don't know.
Says,
how would you not know that that's...
He basically says at the end of that conversation is, if you want to break up, you can do it.
Oh yeah, you can do it. We can do it in person.
Yeah.
You can. We can. I'm here. Come talk to me.
Exactly. I'm not leaving. I'm not accepting this until I see you face to face, and you tell me that we're over in person. And, I mean, you can tell that CW. I mean, that's not the way that she wanted the call to go. She was hoping that he'd be like, okay, bye.
Yeah. Shortly after this, because Jessica is actually a sort of competent character, she does start talking to Ryan in private about Madison, and learns that, like, Madison's passport was stolen, it was broke into at this hotel she was staying at, blah, blah, blah. And she realizes that there's similarities between Madison's story and what has happened to her. She doesn't say anything to Ryan, obviously. She just keeps it to herself.
She keeps it to herself, but she does also ask him, how long have Madison and her known each other?
Oh, yeah.
And he goes, oh, they just met. Like, they met a couple days ago.
He's like, I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
Not long.
Yeah. So I think that was another part where you could see the wheels turning in her head. Like, that is awfully convenient and coincidental.
At one point, Jessica does message Madison's Instagram to be like, hey, you don't know me, but we need to talk. And obviously that just goes right to CW, who's like, oh, fuck.
Because she's still got her phone and still using everything, so she sees that little Instagram ping and she's like, oh, shit.
Yeah. The three of them do go out that night on, like, out on the town or whatever, and CW's trying to win Jessica over to her side and be like, Ryan's kind of an asshole, he's annoying, blah, 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 whatever. Jessica's like, yeah, sure, I get whatever. And while CW's, like, away doing something on, like, Instagram or whatever, Jessica takes off. Mm-hmm. She gets in, like, a taxi and leaves back to the house. And I think Ryan might say that she left. She realizes somehow that she had left.
Oh well, yeah. She had been there for a moment, and then when she turned back around, she was gone, and she went outside and saw her getting into a taxi.
That's what it is. So CW leaves also, goes right back home after her. She catches Jessica in the middle of... Well, she sees her get out of the taxi, walks up to the taxi driver and tells him to leave.
Yeah.
Goes into the house just as Jessica's got like her suitcase packed and is literally ready to leave. And she goes, "Oh, I paid the taxi driver for you." And Jessica's like, "I told him to wait for me?"
Yeah, like, what did you do? She was like, I just thought maybe you didn't pay him, so I just went ahead and took care of it.
Yeah, and at this point, Jessica tells her that you're fucking creepy. And CW's just kind of like not having it.
Yeah, she's like,
So,
I thought we were friends. I thought we were having a good time. What did I do wrong? And she's, it's things are awfully strange around here, and I was trying to be nice to you, but to be fair, you are creepy.
yeah, and she walks past her, and as she's doing that, biggest mistake she could have made, because she was like 1 foot out the door basically.
Yep.
She turns her back, and CW just attacks Jessica.
Yeah.
She just like bonks her on the head. She falls down. She's kind of like crawling on the ground. You know that like slow crawl thing when somebody hits you, you're like just trying to crawl away instead of just standing up and fighting back or leaving or whatever.
She probably had a concussion or something.
And Jessica's telling her like, if you want money, just take the fucking money. I've got money. Take it. And CW says it's not about the money, which, like, then what actually is it about?
Yeah.
I don't understand. But they keep... She kind of crawling backwards, gets all the way to this pool, and CW's just kind of standing there and tells her... same thing that she had said to Madison when she was on the beach, is that nobody is going to notice when you're gone.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's going to notice it. And she puts her heel on her throat.
Ugh. I did not care for that scene. I closed my eyes.
And my question at this point is like, okay, if it's not about the money, well, clearly the money was like a positive side to it, because now you're paying this fucking huge ass nice house off of Madison or off Orion technically. If it's not about the money, and your point is like you're going to fake being them on Instagram for a little bit, the assumption is you move on to the next one at some point. Like,
right.
We haven't once seen her go back and post to somebody else. So the assumption is she fakes being them for a little bit and then they just vanish.
Mm-hmm.
Then, like, what is the point then? Like, is it because you got this birthmark that, like, you don't feel that you can have this massive Instagram following or something? Like, what is it? Like, we don't really understand your motive at this point if it's not influenced by the money that these people have because they got brand deals and stuff. And it's not about basically taking over their account and faking being them. Then what is the point? We don't get an answer because she lifts her heel up and stabs her heel into her throat. You don't actually see it. It's cut away. It's not that graphic or anything. The next thing we cut to is, first off, Jessica looks like kind of like a big person, kind of tall.
Definitely bigger than CW.
But she gets stuffed into a suitcase.
Yeah.
Like, how big was her fucking suitcase that her body fits in there?
She was very tall.
I don't know. Whatever. She gets packed into a suitcase, and CW starts to, like, clean up the blood. And as she does, Ryan shows up with a group of buddies, just some random men that he met out at this bar. Also, just another weird shit where it's like, I would never just meet someone and go home with them at any
just
point.
Inviting random guys at a bar back to your place, just very, very unsafe all the way around.
Like, it might be slightly different if I was with, like, 3 of my friends or something.
Yeah. Because
then I know, like, you know, if it's a serial killer, probably won't get all of us.
Yeah.
So I've got, like, a 1 in 3 chance.
I don't have to be the fastest. I just gotta be faster than the slowest guy.
Yeah. She basically yells at Ryan at this point, like, it's really late. He was like, oh, I thought Jessica was leaving. He's like, no, she said she's just going to leave in the morning because it's already late. You need to have these people leave. They're playing music. It's the middle of the night. This is inconsiderate. You're an asshole. Just tell them to leave. And Ryan's just like, all right, fine, whatever, fuck. And he tells them to leave. He doesn't question anything.
She definitely, you can tell that she's lashing at him because she's panicking. And she is backed into a corner. And we even see one point while they're talking to each other that she looks and she sees some blood that she missed on a part of the wall.
Yeah, on the wall that she smashed Jessica's head into.
Yeah. So she's, panicking and oh, you need to go, they need to go, everyone needs to go, and that's it. Even though he, again, is paying for the house.
Yeah. So later that night, he's in his room, or in Madison's room, technically. I don't really know how he would determine whose room is who, or how many rooms are even in this house. It's never said at any point.
Maybe she had some other stuff out.
I guess. She takes a knife from a cupboard, goes up right in front of his door, like, I'm going to open this door, I'm going to stab him, or knock on the door, stab him, whatever. And then the phone goes off. And she goes and looks at her phone, and it's a photo on his Instagram of Madison, but in the background is CW. She's in the background.
It's a picture of Jennifer. I think, right?
No, it's a picture of
Was
Madison.
it Madison? I thought it was Jennifer, and he tagged them in it.
Maybe I missed it, but I would assume it was Madison.
But either way,
it doesn't matter. She's in the photo, and she doesn't want that because obviously that ties her back to knowing these people in some way. So she puts the knife away, doesn't attack him or anything. The next morning comes up, and she's sitting at the table, having made some food.
She made like a little breakfast feast for him, had coffee and juice.
Well, most importantly, she made one plate that looked like it was already
eaten, that
Jessica had ate already and left that morning.
Yeah, very staged.
To which he notices, and he's like, she already left? And he's like, oh, yeah, she got a really early thing. And he's like, seems a little suspicious, but okay. She starts to apologize to Ryan that maybe they got off on the wrong foot. And he is just like, okay, sure, cool, whatever. Sorry that I barged in on this. I'm just gonna leave. If Madison shows back up, have her reach out to me, whatever. And he then sees a photo on Instagram that Madison had posted of just some random old balding dude going, new love of my life.
Heart emoji.
And
it was just posted.
I feel like I would know if I saw on Facebook or Instagram if all of a sudden you posted some random photo with some much older than you balding man to be like, no, she's been murdered. No, that's not her.
Dead.
That's I don't think that's right.
I swear this guy looks like if you went to just Getty Images and typed in grandpa, he'd show up. And
could be.
Yeah, and it's so weird and generic, and he's recognizing where the picture is taken, and it's really weird. And is this when he calls the friend?
No. So they go out that day. They kind of hang out. She's clearly working on him to try and win him over, similar to what she's done with other people, kind of win them over and then, kill them or abandon them.
We're also getting, the third shift in gear on her because, she was, a little bit mysterious before. Then she was really bubbly and fun with Jennifer. And now she's shifted gears to gel with him a little bit more and being, a little bit more laid back and a little bit more you know what? You are a good guy. You deserve a really good girl. You deserve a good love. And she's she's definitely on her next personality.
Yeah, I mean, that's one way to put it, is she's on to her next personality. But they, yeah, I don't know. They go out for the night. They're having a decent time. At one point, they are at a bar getting drinks, and she drugs his drink. This is an interesting decision, I would say, to go this way. Why she didn't just, like, invite him out to an island or whatever. Obviously, it'll make sense when we get there why she doesn't do that, but, like, why the sudden change in, like, if you've kind of won him over to your side, why not just do what you normally do?
Right.
So she drugs him, she brings him back home, plops him down in the bed, and she then she stands at the end of the bed, ties her hair up, and at this point I was like, oh,
Oh, no.
that's a move that means one thing.
So it does.
She all of a sudden starts getting him undressed. She pulls a condom out, opens it up, and she gets undressed, mostly undressed, climbs on top of him. He's basically just passed out drunk at this point or drugged. She takes his phone, holds his face, unlocks his phone with his face.
Yep.
And then, like, walks off. And she goes through, she deletes that Instagram post that has the photo of her in it.
The important thing about her with the phone on top of him is that you see from the view from behind them a light going off, which is the flash of the camera. She's taking pictures.
Oh, yeah. The whole point of getting, like, mostly naked to do this makes no fucking sense to me. You did not have to do any of this stuff. If your goal was just to... I get where it kind of goes later on, but you literally didn't have to do any of this shit to do this stuff. The next morning, he wakes up. She's in bed with him. She gets out. This is where it's like, oh, I'm naked. Oh, we did things last night. Ha, ha, ha.
That's why I assumed that she got naked. I thought it was just for the sole fact that she could go to sleep and then wake up naked.
Really dumb.
Yeah. Agreed.
Really dumb. So he just kind of, like, looks confused at this whole situation. He also sees, like, a condom on the ground. This doesn't make any sense to me. And I don't know if, like, it doesn't show him examine the condom or look at the condom or anything. But I, for one, if I was in that situation and I woke up and don't remember after a certain period of the night before, and then all of a sudden I wake up and some, like, random woman I hardly know is getting out of bed with me, and then there's just a random condom on the floor, I would assume that that's supposed to be like, well, we used it.
Yeah.
I would pick the thing up, one, to, like, throw it away, because that's kind of gross to just leave it there, but two, I think I'd realize this hasn't been used.
Yeah.
Like, there's... It's just unwrapped and unfurled on the ground. So, one, I would also worry this, like, something else happened and now I gotta go see a doctor or something maybe. But, two, like, I don't... Like, that plan just doesn't logically make any sort of sense to me. Like, you're telling me no one would question that? That they'd just see just a random condom on the floor and go, damn. Like... Is somebody going to pick that up, throw it away? Like, what's the deal?
I don't know.
Also, if you just are throwing condoms randomly on the floor, you're disgusting.
That's so gross.
Just, like...
You're a guest in that house.
I don't even know.
Have some manners.
So, after all this, Ryan's just like, you know what? I'm fucking leaving. I'm out of this place. He goes to, like, get on this ferry and leave. And... before he fully leaves, CW's already left. He's, like, getting onto the boat. He's taking a look at the Instagram again with Madison, and he realizes he knows that the place that photo of her getting hugged from behind from some old balding man is from. So he gets off to go investigate, I guess. At this point, I'm actually kind of liking Ryan as a character because he's actually questioning things and sort of putting things together. I like Jessica as a character because she seems sort of intelligent until she went, "You're fucking weird," and then turned her back on somebody.
Yeah.
Like that's dumb.
And I've seen that in horror movies before, where someone's like, I figured you out. You're a crazed murderer. I'm going to call the cops on you. Why would you say anything?
That's the thing. That's why characters in horror movies have to be dumb. Because if you were slightly intelligent, you'd know not to say anything that's going to cast like a shadow. You're already suspicious because you want to leave. You could have just been like, look, everything going on with Madison and Ryan, I just don't want to be here. I don't like the atmosphere. So I got a hotel right down the road. Yeah. That's it.
I'll meet you for dinner.
That's it. That's all you have to do.
That's all you had to do.
Make her think you're still being there, and then hightail it out of there. That's it.
Saying that you're going to call the cops
or
on
the fact that, nobody has called the police at any point in this story. You don't know where Madison is. It's been over 3 weeks. That's literally a missing persons case.
That is well over.
Why have you not called the police, Ryan? Why?
Jeez Louise. Keep it to yourself. She would totally have been alive if she was just like, I'm just gonna, you know what? I've got to go to the store. Be back in 20. Need anything? Left. Be alive.
We also see at this point CW starts burning a bunch of like Madison's things or other people's things because like people got a little too close for comfort.
Yeah. IDs, passports.
And all of a sudden we get a flashback.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere we get a flashback, and it's a flashback to, we saw a photo earlier on where it was Madison hugging like this big stuffed bear.
Yeah.
And Ryan is like, I took that photo for her. And he also tells CW at some point, like, you could do this. You could be on Instagram. You could be successful. You got the look. You could do it.
You could be an influencer just like her.
I could help you just like I did with her. We get a flashback to Ryan and Madison's first date. They very clearly met on like Tinder or something. It's not ever said, but he says at one point his friend was controlling his account saying dumb stuff, which just goes back to tell you more of like Ryan could be a little bit suspicious because he's had other people mess with his accounts before. That's kind of what it's going for, trying to tell you. But your friend chatting with somebody for you is slightly different from somebody like completely impersonating a person. But they get along. It's like a little cute thing. They're at like an arcade. They're playing what is that called? Skee ball. They win a big stuffed bear at one point. We see him take that photo. He says, if you put on the right hashtags and stuff, this could be like a really big deal. You could get brands and stuff. And yeah, I'm a photographer, blah, blah, blah. And then you realize that that's kind of where it went from there, is that I wouldn't necessarily pressured Madison into being an influencer, but like talked her into doing it.
He does say, when he's taking her picture, she ends up a little bit shy about it, and he goes, "You really don't post on social media much, do you?" And she basically says like, "No, I'm shy, or I'm self-conscious," which is so different from the Madison that we saw earlier.
Yeah.
So that was definitely the launching point of her, being told, "You're really pretty. You could be online."
You could be online.
You can make
anyone can be online.
You can make money selling.
This must have been before OnlyFans, because you really want to make money.
Yeah, that's the place.
So Ryan's gone looking for Madison. He shows up to the original hotel that Madison was staying at, which is where this photo of her and the old man hugging is. It's like in front of that place. So he kind of like, he does the thing you see in a lot of movies where they like line up the photo to be like, oh, that's the place.
That's the spot.
He goes into this hotel. He asks the concierge or whatever, like, have you seen this girl? Do you know her? That doesn't get anywhere with that. It's like, oh yeah, she checked out, whatever, weeks ago, whatever it might be. He goes to the bar. Guess who's still there? Not old British man.
Not old creepy guy that likes to talk to girls at the bar.
Him and Ryan talk for a little bit. Ryan's like, I'm just kind of trying to look for my girlfriend. She was staying here. Have you seen her? He
starts the chatty old guy that seems to really just only like to hear his own voice and bother everybody that comes to the bar. Basically, he strikes up the conversation saying, wow, can I get you a drink? I've been married 3 times. I know the look of a man that's going through
Oh
it.
yeah.
And
I've been married 3 times and I'm only 27.
yeah. And he's like, you know, oh, whatever's got you down, man. Let's talk about it. Let's have a man-to-man about it.
You know what? I'm actually going to look up how old that actor is because
I'd be surprised if he's older than 45.
I don't even think he's close to that, to be honest.
He does just seem like one of those, you know, like your local barfly. Like he's probably there every.
Holy shit, he is a lot older.
Really? How am I?
He was born in 1967, so he's 50 something
Oh shit!
or 60 something
Wow, creepy old guy.
Or-
Is old.
about to be. Yeah, wow. Good for him, looking relatively
He did
not that old.
He really did look like a young person trying to play an old person.
God, I can't believe he was born in 1967.
Also, just in case my dad is listening, the 60s, anything above the 60s is not old. Very young and vibrant.
Yeah, he's like 55 or something like that. 50 whatever. That's crazy. That is crazy. I can't believe. Okay, I guess he was kind of an old person, but it still looked like bad old person makeup.
Yeah. Whatever happened there, it came off as wonky. But anyway, so yeah, he just happens to strike up the conversation, and you know, sure enough, Ryan asks, "Have you seen this lady?" And he's like, "No, I don't think so." And then I forget what it
And
is.
then he mentions CW. He says, "Oh, she was, she met this other girl here." And then British guy goes, "I do remember them." And he's like, "But she hasn't been back. That was like 3-4 weeks ago or whatever." He says, like, that was a long time ago. They haven't been here since. And he's like, "Well, but they have this photo, so that's weird." And he's like, "No, I haven't seen them. They've not been here." Which is like, he's like the one other person we've ever seen at this hotel, so I guess just nobody goes there, so he would know when someone's there.
The great thing about their conversation too that I really liked is Ryan shows him the picture that the Madison Instagram account posted of her and this old guy, and he says, "Yeah, no, it's been weeks." And Ryan says, "No, she was here yesterday. This picture was posted from yesterday." And the guy goes, "That absolutely can't be, because in that photo it's sunny
And it was cloudy and rainy,
and he said,
or whatever.
"We've had storms for the past like 4 days, so there's no way that picture is from yesterday." And we're like,
So then Ryan does, he gets like his own little hotel room or whatever. He calls, FaceTimes the friend that Madison was talking to in the beginning of the movie.
Right.
Again, I want to say his name was like, I think it's Jay or whatever.
Yeah, I think it was Jay.
And he's asking him, like, when's the last time you talked to Madison? And he's like, I don't know, we've texted a few times. He's like, no, but when's the last time, like, you FaceTimed? And he's like, oh, I don't know, like, weeks ago. And he's like, you can see that he's starting to, like, piece things together a little bit. And the friend also, super shitty person who's very clearly, like, a clout chaser, because, one, when he's talking to Madison at the beginning, he's like, Ryan sucks.
Yeah.
You can do better than Ryan. And then when he's talking to Ryan, he's like, you can do so much better than Madison.
You're such a lousy fucking friend. And what was funny too was again, this is him just he's a yes man, so he's telling whoever he's talking to what they want to hear. He asked Ryan, "Is this because of what Madison posted?" And he's like, "Yeah, I feel like, wouldn't she have talked to you if she found a new guy?" And he goes, "Yeah, you're right. I don't know why she would totally tell me if she met some new hot guy."
Yeah.
And I remember when he said, like, hot guy, I was like, no, he's not.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Ryan then goes back and looks at Madison's Instagram. He pulls up a video of a supposed video of her at some place talking. Mm-hmm. And first off, like, I assume these were like actually sort of like deep faked videos, or to some extent, because they don't look real to begin with. Like, if you posted a video that looked like this, I'd go, what the fuck did you do?
What's wrong
Like,
with your face?
You don't look like a normal, you don't look like a human being. You look fake. It looks fake. And he's watching it, and he's just watching it, and he's staring at it. And then I guess you could do this if you, like, are very delicate in moving your finger across the, like, timeline of the video. But he starts to go, like, frame by frame, because he's realizing something's wrong, and you're looking for it to, like, maybe be in the mouth, like, maybe something doesn't line up with mouth. But no, he's going frame by frame, and all of a sudden, in a single frame, you can see the birthmark.
Yeah. Like, barely a millisecond.
Yeah, a literal, just a single frame, and he's like, gotcha, bitch!
Gotcha, bitch!
So, he realizes that everything's been a sham, that something's going on, that CW, who, again, her name has not once been said.
Nope.
That something's going on. So he goes back to the house. Ryan finds a notebook, which I guess was Madison's little journal, because we see a little flashback of her writing in it again. He finds this little, like, journal. CW comes out of nowhere. I wrote in my note, I again put girl comes back, and I wrote, still not sure if I know her name.
Who is she?
And when she comes back, she doesn't know Ryan's there.
Mm-hmm.
Good for Ryan on this one. He knocks her the fuck out.
Yeah, he does.
He just, like, bludgeons her in the back of the head.
Clonks her.
This is where we finally see, per the notebook, it says CW.
Right.
Where we're maybe, like, an hour and 10 minutes into this movie, and finally, CW is mentioned, but in a notebook. Don't know what the fuck it stands
What does it stand for?
Don't know anything.
Cynthia?
Just says CW.
Cynthia Walters.
Okay. Somebody didn't like
A little
that.
Fast and the Furious outside.
So Ryan wakes her up. He's kind of tied her arms behind in a chair, and she's still trying to tell Ryan, like, I don't know what you're talking about.
She is gaslighting him so hard. She's like, everything I've told you is true. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Even though Ryan is like, I have proof.
Yeah.
I know it's not you. I found this. I know. And instead of doing the smart thing of, like, I don't know, calling the police, he still just lets her talk and talk and talk. At one point, he's literally holding a knife to her, and she's like, fine, I'll take you to where Madison is.
You missed the best part of that interaction, where he's like,
Oh.
I have gotten blackout drunk before.
Oh, yeah.
I have done drugs. I have passed out, but I have never not remembered having sex with someone. Like, I think he says shag or something.
I've never forgot a shag.
I've never forgot a shag. And so you could have gotten away with some of those things, but throwing that lame-ass condom on the floor, that was telltale.
So, again, instead of calling the police or something, he's just like, fine, you can show me where Madison is. And he... This is what... I literally said this in my notes. Dipshit should have called the police. He literally had everything. He had proof, evidence, everything. And doesn't call the police.
I'm going to follow her out into the dark.
So, she leads him out onto the dock, over to the boat. It's dark out.
Idiot.
She has her arms still tied behind her, and she's just, like, down there. And he shines, like, his cell phone light or a flashlight, whatever it is, and he's like, what the fuck is this? And then she just tackles him into the water.
What's great, too, is he's looking down into her boat, and in the back of the boat, pink suitcase. Guess who's in there?
Yeah.
She's just been chilling out there in a suitcase on the boat.
So she pushes Ryan into the water. She jumps into the water after him. She does the move of, like, moving your arms back behind your, lifting your legs up to get your arms out in front of you. So if it's not super tight, you can, like, move your legs and get your arms. So her arms are back in front of her, even though they're still tied. Mm-hmm. And while Ryan's in the water, not just, like, he's still got a knife in his hand and everything, she puts her tied arms around his throat and starts choking him. He just, like, flails around. He doesn't try to stab her or anything. He's just like, getting choked out in the water. And she kills him. She chokes him out and drowns him in the water. And then just pushes his body up into the boat. She then puts a tarp over his body.
I hated that scene.
Which part?
Her killing him scene. It was just so...
He had the knife. He could have just stabbed her.
No, but there's also one scene where when she jumps on him, she jumps, like, straddles on him. Like a horse. Like, she just saddles him. Like, I don't know how that... No, that doesn't sound like that would be something that could happen. It's very dumb looking.
So she covers him up, and then she goes back to the house. She gets her arms free. She takes a shower, clean off, like, the blood on her head and all that sort of stuff. She then makes a post as him. Mm-hmm. And I'm not 100% sure what exactly the post... Or, no, sorry. She goes through his stuff. His, like, backpack and stuff. Finds that he had an engagement ring, so he's going to ask Madison to marry him.
Which she puts on, of course.
Yeah, and then she makes a post as him. And I don't know entirely what the post exactly says, but it's just a photo of his face. And then it's supposed to be like a confession about him being like an abuser and shitty or something. Cheater. Because we see a bunch of some reactions to it, and one of them is from the friend Jay, who's just like, I always knew Ryan was a shitty person or a predator.
I always knew he was a predator.
Just like,
you were
what?
The worst.
Yeah.
And it's just like everyone being like, heartbroken emojis, sad, cry emojis. And I think that he says, I'm going to take this time to distance myself from people. Basically like, okay, so I'm admitting that I'm a shitty person and I'm going to go away now. You're not going to hear from me.
It's so dumb. So finally, CW gets into the boat. She drives off to the island to, dump the body. Because you couldn't just, like, go out into the middle of the ocean somewhere and do that, I suppose.
I was going to say, I don't know why she didn't just leave him in the water.
Well, because, I don't know, they'd find him. So she gets back to the island, and surprise, to not me. I wasn't surprised by this.
We see her walk up from the boat. She's pulled it up into the sand. We're walking the camera. We're following her face as she's looking at something, and we see her face start to go into a very shocked, what are we looking at? What's on? Are we gonna see that she's looking at a dead body, a horrific scene? What are we looking at? And then when the camera pans around,
we see where the campfire was. There's a fish on a stick, so somebody was cooking a fish. Mm-hmm. And then she's kind of looking around, and then the log bench thing that had tally marks before now has a lot of tally marks.
A lot of them.
So she starts wandering the island, looking to see, like, where's Madison? Where is she? She eventually gets up to, like, this high point, and we see 2 crosses there, which the assumption would be those were dead bodies that Madison found and buried and put crosses on. Because I doubt that she came back to the island and buried people.
Did you say that she grabbed a shovel before?
Yeah, she grabbed something to, like, protect herself.
Before she goes off to hunt for Madison, she grabs a shovel.
Little doesn't matter, because while she's standing there confused about why Jesus is now on the island.
Why are these crosses here?
Madison clocks her over the head with a big ass stick.
Yeah.
You know what they say? Carry a big stick. Speak softly and carry a big stick.
They do say that.
It's basically, Theodore Roosevelt said that, but that's basically it.
It's a great shot because she just kind of comes out of nowhere, and we see that she's in the same outfit She's dirty.
She's definitely a little thinner.
She's definitely thinner. Her lips are raw and chapped. She's got sunburns everywhere, and yeah, just knocks the shit out of her.
Yeah, and honestly, it wasn't surprising that is what this movie was leading to. There was very clearly a line early on when CW's like, I give you like 3 days. You wouldn't last 3 days.
Yep.
Which, I don't know. If that's not like an indication of how this is going to go, I don't know what is. But Madison knocks her out. One thing I was confused by, in the photo room, in the red room or the black room, whatever the hell it's called, we know that she's done this to 4 other women before Madison.
Right.
There were only 2 crosses. So did she not bring the other 2 to the island? Or was that so long ago there were only bones? Or maybe Madison didn't find them? I don't know. It would have been more interesting if maybe she found 4 crosses or something there. The body at the very beginning of the movie, I assume, was one of those people, because it's never said who it actually is, and it definitely wasn't Madison. So Madison knocks her out. Madison gets onto the boat. She uncovers the tarp to see Ryan there. Doesn't really have a big reaction to it. It's just like, oh.
Yes.
Like, he came to find me and got fucked up. Well, okay. We then cut back to CW. I wrote in my note, CW, or whoever she is, wakes up just in time to run back to the beach and see Madison driving off, and she just kind of starts laughing.
Like maniacal.
Maniacal?
Yeah, maniacal laughing.
Not really maniacal, more just like, oh, fuck. Like, I guess this is what I get.
Yeah.
Or assuming that she's going to survive and then eventually somebody's going to come to her. I don't know. It's weird. That's the end of the movie. And Madison drives off, leaves CW there on the island to assumedly just, die, because I guess nobody goes out to that island ever.
Yeah.
And Madison managed to live there for over 3 weeks, so...
When you wouldn't have thought that she would have.
I don't know. My question at the end of this movie was just like, what was the point? What was the message? We don't really know why or what her motivation to do any of this was. Again, she says at one point, it's not money. So was it you wanted to have like a big following, or you hate people who are on social media and successful? Like, I don't understand what the movie was trying to say. To the point of like, it's called influencer. Why? Like, the only part of that matters to the story is that's how she finds people.
Those are her targets.
She's not really, seemingly not doing much of anything with it, and she's benefiting from the money that they have, if they have money. So I just, like, I don't understand what the movie's trying to say or go for.
I took it as it's...
Is it nobody actually cares about what you do on social media, or that you're not actually that interesting or something?
I think that it was a mix of that, and also, I mean, she's crazy, and she's doing these things one after the other, so you have to think there's a thrill of it to her, and maybe like a challenge in some ways. But I also took the ending as that the beginning of the movie, the body that we first saw, I assumed that was CW.
No, because that's not what she's wearing at the end.
She was wearing a tank top.
Yeah, but the person in the beginning was wearing like a white shirt and something else.
She could have found clothes. They
I
both had dark hair.
I don't think that's the case. Anyway, so I didn't tell you what I thought about this movie after we watched it, because I just wanted to save it to all be fresh during this. Mm-hmm. This movie sucks. This movie's not good. I don't know how... Look, here's the thing. And I said this at the start, that I do know that I have a bias towards like slasher horror movies and whatever. But I just don't... Like, what about this movie was good? Because for me, I do think I don't know. Just the characters weren't great. There were some moments where I was like, okay, they're actually sort of writing like Ryan is not just a completely deadbeat dumb boyfriend sort of thing. But I just it's not good.
But I at least thought that I would get some points for it not being a ghost movie and not being a possession movie.
It was not a ghost or possession movie. That's true.
Some of the other Shudder things that I really love. And I thought it was a little twisty. I wasn't trying to figure out the end.
I'm not trying to figure out the end. It's just blatantly obvious that that's where it was ending.
Wasn't to me.
I don't know how. I feel like I told you. I feel like first off, during this movie, and you can confirm that this is what happened. I probably could have wrote this movie because many times I went, "Oh, let me guess. They're going to the island. They went to the island." And then like 3 or 4 times during the movie, somebody would say something, and in response, before the character could reply, I said exactly what the character said back.
It was very unnerving.
Like, that's how poor... I don't think that I'm like super intelligent to figure this stuff out, but that's just how... I think that's an indication of how poorly written this is, that is that unbelievably obvious.
You need to also remember that this is a Shudder original movie.
So
this is not...
Shudder has good stuff on it.
Yeah, but...
We watched, what was the one I loved last year called?
Psycho.
Christmas, Bloody Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
That movie was original, great, went on way too long, should have ended much sooner than it did. But that was a great movie. But also, it's a slasher movie about a robot Santa Claus killing a bunch of people.
That is true.
So it was sort of up my alley as far as the slasher bits go.
I would say more often than not, I'm not putting my bets that the Shudder movies are going to be like intellectual blockbusters. But so keeping that in mind, and I'm still the same person that I love crappy shark movies. I think a B-rated shark movie is better than no shark movie at all. So I liked this enough to watch it twice.
I would never watch this again.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. It wasn't gory. You didn't, really
should have been. Might have been better.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's very clearly like a not a high budget movie. No. The actors are fine enough in it, except for the old British guy who I cannot believe is in his 50s. I just thought it was really bad makeup, but I guess it's not. And yeah, I don't know. It's just whatever. It's not particularly memorable. It doesn't do anything fun or unique or different, and it also doesn't feel like it has any sort of take or commentary about actual social media. It's just literally one lady being like, I don't want money, but I'm going to take your money. Also, nobody's going to remember you.
Yeah.
What? Okay. Like, what is your point? Do you just... You don't like people with followings? Like, there's probably tons of them you can find other than just what you find as, like, a single white female who's alone in a different country.
We at least do get to see...
Like, you're the problem. What happened to feminism?
We do at least get to see that Madison used to be one person, then she changed to be this superficial, ditzy idiot, and then she can survive on her own on an island all by herself.
Yeah.
She caught that fish herself.
She would have had to have caught a lot of fish to survive for 3 weeks.
Yeah. So maybe now she realizes that she doesn't need social media and she doesn't need to impress anybody because she's fine just the way she is.
All I will say is I don't recommend watching this movie. This is definitely the worst movie we've done on here and will probably remain the worst one we've done for a while.
That sounds like a challenge.
It's not meant to be a challenge. But yeah, it was just not good.
I think if you have Shudder or you're bored, you got nothing going on.
If you have Shudder, watch Christmas, Bloody Christmas.
Well, it's not Christmas right now.
So what? You can watch Santa Claus murder people any time of year.
I say if you don't have shit to do and you have Shudder, go for it.
Yeah.
It's not amazing. It's nothing to write home about.
What would you give it as a rating then? We don't usually put on ratings, but I'm just curious what you would... You're suggesting the movie, but I just want to know what you actually think about it.
Again, it's not the best movie, and there's so many dumb.
That's
stupid
not the
things
point.
about
What rating would you give it?
I give it 5 out of 10 passports.
Yeah.
I could see myself just.
It was a
putting on-
stretch just giving it a 3 out of 10.
I can picture myself in the future if I want some dumbass nonsense to put on while I fold clothes, and I don't pay attention to it. I can throw that on.
Never. I won't ever watch this
I do the
again.
same thing with like 47 meters down.
I would watch
some of those
47 meters down again before this, and I don't think 47 meters down is particularly good either.
No, of course it's not.
Anyway, that's this episode. It was a weird first time we're talking about like an actual new movie, and yeah, it wasn't good.
It was my movie choice, so you can
Yeah.
have your revenge next week.
You've made me watch 2 bad movies so
What was
far.
the other one?
Midsummer.
Oh.
And even then, I like Midsummer more than I like this movie.
You would watch Midsummer again?
I've already watched it twice in my life. That's more than enough. That's more than enough. I don't ever need to see it again.
Well, you can get your revenge when it's your movie.
Yeah. Oh, well, you're right, because I'll just make you watch good movies. That's my revenge.
Okay.
You have to suffer through
Okay.
good Actually, you know what? You've made me think. Maybe now I will choose something that I think you'll hate that I like. Although I did get you to watch pretty much all of the Fast and the Furious movies. So
That is
That
true.
is already payback, I suppose.
And I went to a theater.
And you did go see Fast X in theater alone, which is even better.
That is the worst part of it.
So anyway, thanks everybody for listening. Depending on where you're listening at, you can give this a rating. Ratings, comments, likes, follows, all that good stuff is really good and helpful for us. So thank you.
Absolutely.
We'll be back again next Thursday with something else, with a movie that I've picked that'll, maybe it'll actually be a good movie.
All right.
But until then, you can follow us on all over the place. You can find this podcast everywhere: YouTube, Spotify, Podbean, Apple, Stitcher, all those places. And then you can find us at COAS_podcast, Instagram, Facebook, and then on Twitch every Friday at, times might change, but every Friday we go live to talk about a movie we saw recently. So
That is true.
give us a follow, find us all over the place. All your likes and follows are very appreciated. So we will see you next week.
Wherever you are, I hope that you're enjoying your summer and you are not melting.
Yeah. So
Thank you for listening.
Goodbye.
Bye.